Hi everyone. So yeah, this is the first slide. Today we'll speak about trousers, horses, and AI. So it's really better to tune in learning early. My name is Eugene, and I work at the company called Readdle, and I don't have a speaker notes right there just to make you sure that it's total improvisation. Readdle is the company behind these products. We create productivity tools, hundreds of millions people download it worldwide, and we are focusing on turning technology to be helpful, easy to use, and delightful. And if you will download some of these products, probably you will make sure that it actually works this way. And I am the VP of Product of Documents. This is the most popular non-Apple file manager on the App Store with hundreds of different capabilities, starting with professional PDF editing and ending with VPN and even full functional browser, just to have an idea what it is. And I oversee the entire flow of this product, managing product management, design, development, marketing, etc. And today I'd like to start with a pair of red trousers, just like I've promised. This specific shade is called Garen's Red, and back in 1914, it was a part of standard-issued uniform of hundreds of thousands French soldiers marching to the front lines. But they were marching to the completely another kind of war, because it was an era of long-range machine guns and smokeless gunpowder. The battlefield wasn't covered in a thick fog anymore. It was terrifyingly clear. And in that clarity, these men weren't camouflaged. Actually, they were a highly contrast walking targets, visible miles away because of the red color they're wearing. But back that time, it wasn't an oversight. Actually, it was completely rational decision they made based on the world they knew, because the technology has ruined best practices, and they paid a very high price. So the first reason was actually utility, because in the world of black gunpowder, fog of war were everywhere. So you actually needed bright uniform to distinguish your people from the enemy and avoiding friendly fire. The second is obviously tradition. It was about the spirit. Wearing red was about carrying pride of the nation. And maybe the most important part is actually economy, because mother plant red color came from was really popular among French farmers. So this way government supported French agriculture a lot. And now let's take a look at this. A lot of abbreviation and approaches familiar to you. And we didn't make them by mistake, like they help us to navigate through the chaos with a high level of uncertainty of creating something new. But as you know, the technology has changed. And some of these approaches actually became our red trousers that made total sense before, but must be revisited today. Because just like smokeless gunpowder changes the battlefield, AI changes not only the value we can deliver to our users, but also how we deliver this value and how we work entirely as an organization. So I'm not suggesting to run into the battle naked. So just like we still need trousers, we still need approaches and frameworks just to align us along a common goal. But we were focusing on mechanics so heavily that we forgot why we use these best practices, sharing them on presentations like this or on community sessions. And today, I don't want to share our best practices, saying that what works for us somehow magically will work for you. And instead, I want to make a shift from how we build to, just like a presentation says, build from why. And I really want you to invite today to join me in this exploration with your team and your product in mind. And if we all do this right, the most important and the most interesting insights won't come from me, it will come from you. And to tune in together, to synchronize, let's back shortly to how we build today. Effectively, we've built our work like a paint by numbers kit. we draw these strict lines between teams and functions, giving everyone the specific shades they have to put on the common canvas just to make everything works as a scale. So we created these systems for specialists where designers design, developers develop, marketing, we don't know what marketers does, probably not. Marketing, do marketing. But those of you who had a chance to work with the true generalist people who deeply understand their craft, but also know a little bit of everything, you know that it's always better to work with that people because it's easier to communicate with them. The idea is better, but before it was really hard to find this generalist. And even if you could find a developer who can write a great marketing copy, you couldn't scale the entire hiring strategy among these people. So we built this system specialist with one goal, and the goal is scaling. And it worked pretty well, but it has a price because of constraints. It constrained people between these strict lines, and it doesn't only limit what people do, but also how people think. And even when people have much more to offer, like they often do. And when AI appeared, people started to treat it through their specialist point of view. And we all know this mantra that AI won't replace you, but people with AI will. Eventually making AI just a new best practice and showing it into existing processes we have, just improving something what we've already done, scaling all the flaws, sometimes having the quality you would expect from putting a horse on the driver's seat. As a result, we see AI slop everywhere on social media, on YouTube, and even polluting our internal company documentation. And it doesn't work well every time, because here is research that shows gap between perception and reality, because developers, after completing the task, were sure that they, using AI, were 20% faster, when in reality they were 90% slower in average. And I think that many of us can find ourselves in this situation, crafting this perfect email with Claude, while we could send a good one 25 minutes ago. So I want to make, it seems that we have to make a hard thing, shifting our mindset. And luckily, there is a good, well-known practice of shifting our mindset. It is asking why to what we used to do. And this is what we're going to do today, obviously. Of course, it's not enough to ask why every time, because we need to have a helicopter view and to avoid this specialist focus trap, which is a tendency of expert to optimize what they control, missing the bigger picture. So why it happens? Because actually, when we ask why and treat our work sequentially, moving from one zone of control to another, like from the product and development and marketing, actually we treat all new technology as this tool trying to show it in our existing approaches. So maybe thanks to AI, product manager could write a better PRD. By the way, guys, longer doesn't mean better. Or sometimes you could code faster or find interesting creative for your ad campaign. But it will make a horse from Henry Ford metaphor a little bit faster, but it won't build you a car. So to build differently, we actually have to ask why in the uncomfortable spots where friction appears. And we all know where friction often appears, right, guys? Between teams and functions. Because why it happens? Because each team has their own approaches and own outputs. So they're arguing about definition of success. And you can see the friction in loud discussions or arguments. You can see frictions in things like when one team starts to judge other team job instead of doing their job better. And it's not the argument itself which is the problem. It's the output. Because the worst scenario isn't the argument. It's a friction that compromises the result, making the entire work worse, just like we'd see on this draw in the back game. And according to our experience, friction appears in two major scenarios. And scenario number one is the gap between teams and functions. For instance, product management really wants to solve this market problem, run this shaky, unstable prototype to the production just to get the results as soon as possible. Via development, developer works hardly to make the code stable and scalable. That might be removed the next week because experiment didn't work. And the friction happens between these two guys. One wants to put a shaky experiment, another wants to make a stable product. So in our team, we bridge that gap, testing solutions before development has started, and sometimes even before we've even opened a design tool. Because here is an example of one of our features, which is extract insights from YouTube. And the problem was identified, the solution was defined, and the task waiting, just sitting in our quarterly plan, waiting for development to pick up. But product team decided to move forward and create, wipe code, the solution, and take back it to the exact people they had conversation before while they explored the problem. And you know what? Obviously, the solution didn't solve their problem. They said, what a piece of shit have you shown me? And it wasn't about design. It was about the exact output the system provided through the AI and our prompts, etc. So we back the solution back to discovery stage, saving, I don't know, weeks of development and a lot of marketing budget. And I know that many companies, and we as well, are trying to take it even further by buying ads to these exact prototypes, supporting by hard data that we have a good solution that actually works. And another place where friction explodes is much more complicated, and this is the quite opposite, the overlay between teams and functions. It happens when different teams meet in the same area, but with a different definition of success. Because design may say, it's a beautiful design. What do you need more like from our work? Product manager could say that it drives retention, while for marketing it's important if it improves conversion, and development focuses on stability and scalability, and customer support can say like users don't complain. And of course you can agree on some common definition of success, but the problem is that once it's defined, everyone starts to slightly optimize everything we do to this definition of success, compromising other parts. Because, of course, we need to improve conversion or drive retention, but it doesn't mean that we don't care if users complain on what we did. So to fix it, we actually had to exit this stalemate, we actually had to dismantle the entire assembly line. So we switched from sequential development to new approach we call flows. And where teams participate in every single stage, every single flow jointly. These colors represent different functions, like blue is for development, green for design, for the product, etc. And this changes the dynamic. Because development finally can shape the marketing strategy, and design not only changes user interface, but actually can shape the entire product. So to build differently, we had to stop protecting our zone of controls. Let's take a look at our delivery flow as an example. And engineering handles the heavy lifting part here, obviously, still. But the entire team is focusing on improving the time of delivery and the quality of delivery, removing roadblocks, making sure that the path is clear, sometimes reducing the scope to move faster, or changing something on the delivery flow if it will help us to get better results or improve our KPIs and metrics on impact flow, where marketing is responsible for. So now saying this is easy, doing it is hard, and of course I will not share with you all our diagrams, how we changed our processes, because it's heavily shaped by our team, our product, and it wouldn't work for you anyway. By the way, we are hiring senior product managers, so you could actually learn how this works from inside, but it's another story. So, but what I want to share with you is 3 examples how what we do, how we use technology to help this flow actually work and feel rolling. And the first, don't take them as like best practices, please, and rule to follow. It's just examples for your inspiration and nothing more. The first is how we upgraded our team principles, because every company has its time when processes doesn't work anymore, because you just can't describe all possible scenarios of different cooperation between people and write rule books, and you need culture to guide people's behavior when things are certain. But unfortunately, they often left on the wall as a dusty posters, and maybe people even know culture and can say what culture do we have, but they don't actually know how to use it. And to fix this, we described our culture, our principle, how we work, and also we added a detailed list of do's and don'ts. This is particular examples from our experience, what we treat as a good behavior or what should we avoid. And actually any team member can update this list, so it's actually a dynamic element. And obviously what, of course, fed it to the AI. So now when things are uncertain, people can just ask AI and it will reply based on our principles. And the most fascinating part actually is that it reduces friction even more because it feels safer. You can share with AI bot whatever friction you want. You can argue with the bot how much you want. It won't judge you. It will just analyze and provide you feedback based on the culture and won't add nothing new, suggesting maybe sometimes to speak with your manager. And the second example is that we started to transcribe all our team-wide meetings using Spark transcription tool and saved it in the shared space. And after that, turning these meetings in some actionable points. It might be Jira ticket, sometime it's to-dos, and if you need to find what decision has been made, you don't need to scroll through 45-minute video call recording, you can just ask. And many people use it in different ways. I personally ask AI after important meetings for brutal honesty, to analyze my behavior, like was defensive, was I clear, did I interrupt anyone? So to ask for feedback, my colleagues might be too polite to say to my face. Please don't shy, tell it to my face, I'm okay with that. And the third example is user interviews, because we run dozens of them, and product managers knows a lot of insights and a lot of context of users, which is not available for other team, because by the end of the day, a lot of team members work on the solution side, where they see a polished idea, when they see task in Jira, while product manager can cherry pick, right, some insights that supports their idea the most. To make the distribution of the insights more equally distributed, we turn this long row interviews into engaging podcast. They're usually 5-7 minutes long, and you actually can consume them during your morning routines or commute to the work. Just get more insights for your exact users you are working for, and you're solving problem for them. So it was the third example, and I want to move forward with product design, because just beyond fixing some of our internal workflows, obviously this applies bottom up and doesn't just improve how we work, but also can improve how we build and how we deliver value to our users. Because finding why in the friction points of user flows often changes everything, how UI works, how user experience works, etc. And here is another metaphor. As you can see, I love metaphors. And we built our user interfaces, user experience with a lot of constraints. Actually, just think about for a moment that we put millions of people with their intents, with their context, with their problems into one static user experience. So inevitably, our product evolving became mazes, and people have to hunt for the value inside this maze. And what we do as a product managers, designers, developers are just hanging a better signs of navigation where they should turn on the left, turn to the right, finding better metaphors for icons, nice animations, or of course tooltips and pop-ups everywhere you see launching a new product or registration in a new solution. And the technology has changed, as I said many times today. And why hanging new, better signs to the maze when we have a teleportation machine? And we can bring people directly to the value, and instead of explaining how to get there, what we often do. And I want to share just two examples from Documents product itself, because we're an early stage with these experiments. And the first example, our recent experiment, where we trying to understand users' why, their intent, their motivation, and we turn our list of features into actionable items explaining what the value they can extract for this feature. For instance, it's not highlight anymore. It's like highlight to remember important part of the lecture to get back for that later. Or it's not transcribe video, it's transcribe video to turn lessons into readable notes. So turning features into exact value, and people can understand what is behind these names and this list of features. And the best part is that thanks to the new technology, we don't need to guess anymore. We can just ask, and LLM can understand what is the true intent or context of an exact user in the exact moment, and people can reply to this in any way which feels most comfortable for them. It might be text, it might be video, voice, gesture, if you'd like, to help gather this intent and context of the user. And here's another example how we utilize context, analyzing the specific file type, and in context we provide the best next action based on the file right where user is right now. Not somewhere in the interface we want to put our feature or this icon, but where a user expected the most and when they needed the most. But after adding files or considering adding file to documents, so sometimes our users don't even need to open the app to get the value and hunt through the menus to find what they came for. And I can show you everything, obviously, but here is just some numbers to understand how some of these changes impacted the exact metrics which matters the most for us. As you can see, it's double-digit growth in the meaningful metrics, and even overall retention, which is a pretty steady beast, to be honest. It's really hard to move retention hard. And here are just some ideas of context that behavior that might impact user behavior, and you can play with to create a curated user experience. So, if you take only two things away from today, let them be this. Ask why to every how. Don't just fall into best practices. Ensure they are still following. And better, disassemble them, understand them, and try to upgrade with the new technology to make them work for you based on your context and based on your product. And the second, is the follow the friction. Instead of avoiding the hard parts, look for them, because high chances are that this is exactly where your opportunity is hiding. Because the example of flows I've shown you before, actually we discovered it through exploring a lot of friction which happened between different teams. So this is how we came to the solution that works for our team. Maybe for your team works something else. And I like to finish where I started, with those red trousers. And a quote from Eugene Plokhoj, who was the former prime minister, former war minister of France, who argued actually against replacing red color for those red trousers. And I quote, sorry for my French, "Jamais le pantalon rouge c'est la France." It means never red trousers are friends. So don't be like Eugene. Don't make the way you work today shape your future or limit your creativity. Understand the context, ask why, become generalist, and start building differently with the new technology. Yeah, thanks for having me today to keep the conversation rolling. Thank you very much. Just one sec. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, especially if you're a senior product manager or a senior product marketing manager. And by the way, we've designed a special build from white t-shirt And we're giving 1 or 2 of them to whoever asks the best question or make the beautiful photo of our stand in the main stage. So feel free to come, ask your questions, and maybe you'll have a chance to get 1 t-shirt for yourself. Now, thank you very much.